Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 94 from CBD Talk Podcast. And yeah, we've been away for a while, but there's been a lot happening since the last episode with COVID and now riots in the streets and all sorts of stuff. So today we're going to jump back into it with multi-guest appearance from David A. Dawson. How are you doing, David?
Everything is good, Dawn.
As good as it can be.
As good as world events will allow things to be.
Yeah, that's true. Very accurate there. All right. So if you guys have not seen David on here, he's done several episodes, so I recommend going back and checking through and picking up his episodes. But just really quickly, well, not quickly, but let's just go over a little bit of who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, well, basically, I'm an endocannabinoid researcher. I study, I've developed a technique for numerically measuring balance of the endocannabinoid system. Essentially, we can use hair samples to determine if somebody's endocannabinoid system is in balance or if they're deficient in particular endocannabinoids. There's a lot of ailments out there that are endocannabinoid deficiency disorders, and you need to be able to know what an appropriate endocannabinoid concentration level is for your system to determine if you know. It's like basically looking at a blood test.
Yeah.
You know,
to see what your range is.
Yeah, what your range is.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be deficient. Oh, you know, the doctor might say, "Oh, you're deficient in vitamin D. Here's how we're going to alleviate that." Right.
Now, how long have you been working with cannabinoids?
About 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been I started looking at endocannabinoids rather than phytocannabinoids.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was not going to be allowed legally to study the phytocannabinoids, so I said, okay, well, I'll study the equivalents.
Right.
Study the endocannabinoids, and endocannabinoids are the cannabinoids that the body produces naturally.
Right.
Cannabinoids are the cannabinoids that come from the cannabis plant. Phyto means flower, endo means from within.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I study the cannabinoids that the human body or the vertebrate body produces naturally.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is the endocannabinoids and the phytocannabinoids are essentially the same molecule,
mm-hmm.
or they act on the body in exactly the same way. So you end up with endocannabinoid, what I refer to as endocannabinoid phytocannabinoid equivalents.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're deficient in a particular endocannabinoid, you can supplement it with the appropriate phytocannabinoid or the equivalent phytocannabinoid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I do.
So is that research that you're doing with spectral analytics then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, we have the ability to just take a hair sample or a saliva sample, either way, and we can test your endocannabinoid system and say, okay, well, you're deficient in stereoethylamine or whatever it happens to be, or verotamine, whichever endocannabinoid it happens to be. We can make that detetermination.
So, as a woman who has occasionally colored her hair, how would hair dye affect that? Or at that point, would you be saying saliva?
Well, at that point, I think we might want to go with saliva because it's because any sort of contaminant is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that in there because,
Yeah, that's a good point. And nobody has ever asked me that question before.
Well, now you got it.
And I mean, I have been, well, what if I'm bald? I have had that question.
Yeah. There's that, or have alopecia, or yeah. Mhm.
Right. So there's a variety of, there's a variety of things that if we can't do it from hair or shouldn't do it from hair,
Mhm.
then we can do it from saliva. That's
Okay.
see, the biggest issue with saliva is any sort of bodily fluid is problematic in shipping.
Ah.
And so, but hair is a lot easier because you throw it into an appropriate container.
Yeah.
You just mail it,
Mhm.
and overnight it, and boom, then we can just we can test it.
Nice. Very cool. So is
So
this
that's
active
why
now, or is this still in
it's
the
not active yet. It's about to be active. We're about to go live. We've got the laboratory that we're going to be working with. They have the instrumentation that we need. That was always the key for me.
Mhm.
Well, it wasn't always the key. I mean, the first key was just figuring out how to do it.
Yeah.
And then secondly, after I knew how to do it, it's, okay, who has the instrumentation? Because the instrumentation is really expensive.
I bet.
You got to have mass spectrometers. You got to have liquid chromatography. Got to have basically everything. All of this stuff, all of this instrumentation that is like, like a mass spectrometer. That's a major investment.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the laboratory that knows how to do that,
Mhm.
and a laboratory that's willing to work with cannabinoids.
Exactly.
That's a scary thing, because there's a certain element that people have about cannabinoids. It's called intentional ignorance. They don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
If it's cannabinoid related, so they got this, intentional ignorance, and that's why doctors won't recommend cannabis a lot of times. Or how hard it is to get certified. If you go to a doctor that's associated with a hospital,
Yeah.
and then they won't even discuss it, and they're unwilling to learn about it. And the reason they're unwilling to learn about it is because if they do learn about it, it could affect their federal funding, the hospital's federal funding.
Yes. And it can
And
affect
so,
the doctor's license, and yeah.
yeah, so there's that intentional ignorance thing, and that happens. That has happened in research universities.
Mm-hmm.
If you go up, if a student goes up to a dean and says, "Hey, I want to study the endocannabinoid system," first thing that dean thinks is, okay, pothead.
Oh, yeah, because of the stigma. Yeah.
Right, because of the stigma. And and that's why research has been stifled for so long, since basically 1970, 72, when Nixon declared the biologic cannabinoids illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and created the DEA to ensure that nobody researched the biologic cannabinoids.
Mm-hmm.
You could research synthetic cannabinoids, but biologic cannabinoids you couldn't.
We've talked about synthetic cannabinoids on the show before.
Right.
That's you compared that to the difference between eating an apple and eating a plastic apple.
Well, that's
it.
it.
It was a metaphor. It was a metaphor.
Well, it's a metaphor, and basically what it is whenever you put something into the body, like a drug into the body,
mm-hmm.
the body sends out enzymes to degrade that molecule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the problem is with synthetic, it's a synthetic molecule, so the enzyme has a hard time degrading it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? It gets stored up in the liver, and it causes all these what are referred to as iatrogenic ailments that are caused by the medication.
Mm-hmm.
An organic or a biologic cannabinoid is easier for that enzyme to degrade, because it's like eating, eating a synthetic molecule is like that enzyme is trying to eat plastic fruit.
Right.
And that's the metaphor that I use.
I love that metaphor. I do.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor.
It really is. All right, so let's talk COVID-19.
COVID-19, sure.
All right, so I know that there's been things going around about a study. So I think there's two. I think there's a study in Israel and a study in Canada. I think there's a couple studies, and how they're trying to somehow link this together. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's like you know how it is with cannabis. Everybody thinks cannabis can cure everything, that it's just this panacea, and it's not. I mean, I was in a CBD shop, before the COVID-19 thing hit, and the guy that was selling CBD products, he actually said, he told a customer, "Oh yeah, it cured my uncle's it cured my uncle's deafness." Because it's like cannabis people want cannabis to cure everything, and it just doesn't. I've got a story that when this whole COVID-19 thing started to hit, my CEO Stephen Adler at Spectral Analytics, he called me up one day in January. He said, "Dave, we need a cure for COVID-19 because we're not going to go anywhere with this cannabinoid research until we get a cure for COVID-19. So we need a cure for COVID-19. I'll give you 5 days." Stephen, not going to happen. So anyway, I started to look at it, and I'm like, okay, well, possibly. So I started to look at it from a molecular perspective and started to look at the molecules that we were working with. And see, the beautiful thing is, and I do, I've got that my treatment for MRSA extremely well, but that's a biologic. That's a biologic rather than a viral. The problem is, so a bacterial is easier because the thing is, each one of the cannabinoids have some really, really powerful antibacterial properties.
Yes.
But there's only like one cannabinoid that is an antiviral. That's CBD. Okay. Now, some of the terpenes and some of the flavonoids, they also have some antiviral properties. So I started looking at those as well. What I figured out is that it's just not going to work.
Right.
What I am capable of is I'm able to enhance your immune system, but I'm not going to be able to make cannabinoids and terpenoids and put them all together so that they cure COVID-19.
Right.
Now, we do have at Spectral Analytics, we have come up with a treatment for COVID-19. It's a couple of different molecules. See, Spectral Analytics, just so you're aware of how we do things, we are a consortium of scientists from basically all over the world. And and each one of these scientists have different niches that they operate under, that they do their research under. Like I deal with endocannabinoids. That's my area of expertise and my area of research. We have other scientists that what they do is they have their own area of research. There's one of the scientists in our consortium is named Patrick Prendergast. And he's been working. He's an immunologist. He works for. He's been working as an immunologist for like 4 decades, 40 years. And he came up with a treatment for Ebola. He came up with a treatment for HIV. all SARS, MERS, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing is, in that 5-day period that Stephen gave me,
Uh-huh.
Patrick Pendergrass called Stephen and said, "Hey, I've got a treatment for COVID-19."
Uh-huh.
And the beautiful thing is it's already approved by the FDA. There are 2 antiviral medications that are already approved by the FDA. And
Fabulous.
and so we're way ahead of basically everybody else, because all we have to do at this point is just a quick in vitro study. We've already done an in vitro study in another country,
Mm-hmm.
but the FDA wants one done in the United States under RIRB.
Right.
And so basically we've got this, and so we know what's going to happen because it's already been done. So it's just replicating a study that's already demonstrated success.
Great.
And then what we'll do is we'll just after the antiviral, or I'm sorry, the in vivo study will be done like next week, and then we go to a 20 patient clinical trial,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that a 200 patient clinical trial at the Cleveland Clinic.
How long does the trial last? Each one?
About 4 or 5 days. It doesn't.
Okay.
All you have to do is demonstrate that you're reducing viral load.
Oh, okay.
That happens very, very quickly.
Good. Good.
And at that point, then we release, and we've got Pfizer that is looking at it. They will be jumping on board,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, and this is the other aspect of when you're dealing with drugs, is okay. You end up with success. All right, you know that what you have works.
Mm-hmm.
The next problem is, how do you distribute that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Pfizer has a distribution network all over the world.
Yep. They sure do.
So that part's covered as well. So
Yeah.
we've got all the bases covered,
That's
and so all we have to do is demonstrate efficacy, and the
And you've
FDA.
already done that out of the country, so you'll be able to do it in.
Yeah, we know.
So-
Yeah, we're at the point where we can say, okay, yeah, we're 99.9% certain.
And then manufacturing wise, I'm guessing
And then
Pfizer's going to
manufacturing
jump
is,
on it
yeah, that's,
and push
yeah,
that ahead of their
this is-
other stuff.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, because
So that's what we've got going on. That's the COVID thing.
yeah.
And that's kind of what we're
So
doing.
the cannabis side it's not going to help on that.
Well, see, the thing
Other
is,
than boost the immuno.
we can boost the endocannabinoid system,
Uh-huh.
enhance the endocannabinoid system. We can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
So that might help fight it off.
well, that'll
just to
help you
prevent
find
you
it
getting
off
it.
if you are exposed to it.
Yeah.
But see, the thing about researchers is researchers will research anything if they can get it funded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing. And what we do is we do targeted research.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of, getting funded is the hardest part of being a scientist.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we have scientists, we select the scientists that we're willing to fund.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing is like Patrick Pendergast, he's already, he's been doing this forever, so he's got funding.
Yeah.
And so but he and Stephen have had this long relationship, and so he just called up Stephen and said, "Hey, I've got it."
That's great.
That's how it kind of worked.
That's great.
So we're ready to roll with that, and we're real excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And the rest of the world will be too. To be able to have a treatment for
I
this,
would think, yeah.
that'd be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty good
Yeah.
because
So
kids are going to be
that's
going
where
back
we're
to school, and now with this whole Hashimoto situation possibly being tied in, type of thing with the kids, they're getting some really weird things with COVID. A treatment
Right.
would be
Oh yeah,
great.
see, that's the other thing that is really, really good about our treatment is
Mhm.
it's got the anti, God, I'm at a loss
That's
for
okay. But so it treats.
well, it anti-inflammatory.
Oh, okay, got it.
Thing that's going on with the kids is there's this big inflammation.
Uh-huh.
Well, the beautiful thing that Patrick did was he added a peptide or an amino acid to the whole thing that was anti-inflammatory.
Nice.
And so while it reduces the viral load, it also reduces the inflammation.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's great.
so it's
I'm real happy for you guys.
Again, we're covering all bases.
Yeah, that'd be good. So,
So
all right. So one of the things that we have talked about offline, and actually I have spent some time on offline, is you've got a couple books out because you've got a lot of you've been studying it for 10 years, but you've had experience with cannabis for decades.
sure.
So, and some very real life situations and how it actually helped get you out of hospice and all sorts of stuff. I mean, there's loads of stuff. And so, and we're not going to talk about that because you know what? They can read about that in the book. So
yeah, it actually is in the book.
It is.
Basically everything in that book is, well, not everything is true,
there's
but
some literary license.
it kind of follows, what all the things that I went through. Because I was the first person that created a medical cannabis education company. Had no interest in providing product or
just education. Yeah.
Education, yeah, and that runs into issues in the United States. You would not believe the issues,
and we're not going to go into it because I want them to read the book. We're not going to because I mean
it's just there's so much there that is just hysterical.
It is. I love your style of writing. I love it because this is not a dry. This is not a dry book about cannabinoids at all.
Oh no, it's
a lot of
like
fun.
The first book that I wrote was a textbook, and people don't like to read textbooks.
Exactly.
This one is more of an entertaining book, but there is some education in there.
So what's the title of the book?
Pummeled to Death by Hamburger.
Yes, Pummeled to Death by Hamburger. And it's honestly, guys, it's a fun read. It's a page turner. It really is. And the thing is that you're also learning a lot while you're reading the book. But it truly is a fun read. So I know. So how did you? I mean, so what was your process of getting the book done?
Well, it kind of process. You've dealt with publishers before, right? Because you wrote a book. I don't know if you've had what experience you've had with your publisher. I had basically a terrible experience with mine.
Your first one.
Yeah, my first one, not the one that I'm with now, but first one. But the first one, they were like, okay, we'll do all this stuff for you. We'll do it. We'll do everything. We'll do all the marketing. We'll edit it for you. We'll do all that.
Yeah.
Well, basically, what I learned at that point, over working with basically so many people lie with impunity.
Yes. It's kind of rampant right now too in our society.
Yeah, right. It is, and so what they did was they I wrote the book. It was not edited well.
I can attest to that.
yes, you can, because you had a copy of the first one, right?
Yeah, I was like,
because it's when I die, it's going to be valuable. And so, hold on to that. But now, so basically what they did is they kept pressuring me, get it out to us now. So I'm like, okay, here, so I gave it to them, unedited.
Yeah.
And thinking that they were going to edit it because they said they would.
Yeah.
And then after they received it, they said, okay, well, we'll edit it for 8 cents a word. And I'm like, this is 80,000 words.
Yeah.
And so that's a chunk of change.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And I mean, we're talking like $6,000 just for editing. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. And they're like, okay, so they published it. And so, I broke contact, I severed relations with them.
Mm-hmm.
And got a different publisher. So this is actually a re-release. I have added a bit more to it and changed the ending a bit because it allows me to write a sequel a bit. It allows me options that I didn't have in a sequel.
Yeah, and that's good because I remember the ending of it. So I'm glad that because there was so much more to be.
Oh yeah, there's so much more to be said.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've got ideas as to where to go because other things have happened to me.
Yeah. Okay, so who's
now I'm into the research phase.
Yeah.
Back then I was only into the education phase. Now I'm actually working with phytocannabinoids and endocannabinoids and doing the stuff.
So who's your publisher now?
So much more.
Yeah. Who's your publisher now?
Page Turner.
Okay.
They're really good. They really, I've told them, what my experience with publishers and that publishers just basically suck and spilled it out for them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, well, we understand, we know what the type of business we're in. We know that we're all criminals and con artists, but you're not going to have that experience with us.
That's good.
So basically, they have done everything that they've said they were going to do.
Okay.
The editing is really solid now. I sent you a PDF of it.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to look at that yet.
Right, I'm sure, because I only sent it on Friday, and I'm sure you were busy all week. I know you were just slammed today.
Yeah, definitely.
And
so when are they? Have they put it out then yet?
It will be out this week or next.
Oh, good.
You've seen the cover. The cover design is different.
Yeah.
And it's so. Yeah, the cover design is so much better.
Yeah. It gets more attention.
And then it's really just a matter of now it's at the marketing phase and that's part of the reason that I wanted to get on CBD Talk.
Well, you always have an open invitation.
Oh, I know I do. This I don't know if you're counting, but this is my fourth. You want that 5. I want that 5-time jacket. Timeless jacket.
Oh man, that's funny. But truly though, the book it's a real easy read. I mean, it's a page turn, but it's got a lot of good info in it. It's got a lot of just useful information. You even mentioned strains in it.
Yes.
There's just so much knowledge.
Yeah, everything that relates to cannabis is in that book. And basically it was a way of presenting information that I put in the textbook in an entertaining way.
Yes, 100%. And anybody who reads the book is going to learn something. And I don't care what level you are in the cannabis world, whether you're just never even learned anything about cannabinoids, CBD, THC, anything. You like your bread, you're going to enjoy the book. If you've been in the industry for a decade, you're going to enjoy the book. It's just fun. It's fun, and you're going to learn something.
It was designed. I wrote it just because it was comical and entertaining. It a fun book to write.
Yes.
Just because I had been through all this stuff, and when you look back on it, when it happens to you, you're pissed.
Uh-huh.
but then when you look back on it, it's just hysterical how, you know, how doctors respond, how insurance companies respond.
How the police and prosecutors
Yeah.
respond.
It's, yeah, the whole bit, it just becomes hysterical. And the beautiful thing is all of this stuff that is reality and banality
Mhm.
is entertaining.
Yes, it is. Looking back at it, it's entertaining.
Right. And so many people have already been through this. Like if you try to get certified,
Hmm.
you know, get certified for medicinal cannabis, go to your doctor and see how they react.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. And
Yeah.
and it's always like that. And just every little bit and piece that goes on is it's just funny.
Mhm.
The I don't remember the phrase that I used. The ignorance,
Willful ignorance.
yeah, it was just a second. I wrote it down because it's such a good phrase on the floor.
Pummeled by Hamburger. Guys,
Pummeled
remember
to
that.
death.
Pummeled to death by Hamburger. Remember that
Yeah,
by David A. Dawson.
yeah. Intentional ignorance is
Intentional ignorance. Yes.
yeah,
Intentional
and
ignorance.
and because you know that's the thing, and why people are just so.
Mhm.
And the thing is, people have been conditioned to be intentionally ignorant
Yeah.
about cannabinoids,
Yeah.
and this
Well,
is
because intentional ignorance gives you plausible deniability.
right.
So
That's
no
it. And that's
responsibility.
right.
Another
And
thing that we're in the middle of right now in the world, lack of responsibility.
so yeah, that's the book, and like you say, it's you know designed to be an entertaining read.
It really is. It's awesome. It is awesome.
And so,
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up because it's getting dark. This is the first episode we've had in months since COVID. I'm really sorry, but my life kind of collapsed, and it's all, been working out of the house
well, yeah,
for
everybody's
months.
life kind of
Yeah,
collapsed.
and it's just been a challenge. So I appreciate your patience, people. I really am sorry. I have had people emailing me asking me when I'm going to get another episode out, and I felt really bad, but I just couldn't make it happen. And then fortunately, you called me and said, "Hey, let's do an episode." I'm like, oh, thank God. So we're back. We're back, and I'm glad that we came. That you're
Well,
the
the
guest
next
that
time
brought us
that
back.
something happens, I'll give you a call. The next time we're ready to you know do
And the
something
next time
that's
that the world
incredible.
collapses, give me a buzz.
Yeah, well,
Pull
you
me
know,
down.
and that it shouldn't take long now.
Got that right. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening and watching today, whether you're on the iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or uh, Google Play or all those other ones that we're on, or watching on YouTube. We appreciate your time and that you're giving us some of your time, and of course, thank you, David, for
Of course.
sharing some knowledge with us. And good luck to Spectral Analytics on the COVID-19 treatment. So grateful that we've got brilliant people out there working on it to help us all. So, all right, everybody, stay happy, stay healthy. We'll see you in the next episode.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.